Good morning. So last month was a bit of a wash. I did a few trades, evals. Didn't go real well. It's been kind of rough in the markets. I am still trying to figure out how to trade with stops. And basically what I've done at this point is I've gone full quant. So Um, so basically what I'm doing here is I've got a couple of different repos. I've got agents running. Um, I've got a lot of data that I pulled for NQ, a couple of years of 5 second and all the other bars. And I'm basically trying. I've tried probably 1,000 strategies, and there's a ridiculous number of things you could do. Um, for the most part, I'm finding that breakouts and letting things run is probably the best way to do well. But I'm trying. I'm also looking at regime changes and how probabilities cluster over time with different strategies. It's interesting, right? So a couple of things that have come out of this. One is that you can find, let's say you're looking at the 5 second or the 1 minute. So maybe the 1 minute is a little better because 5 second is pretty noisy. So if you got an NQ, 1 minute bars going back a few years, you can find strategies that are 65% or higher win rate. You can find stuff that's got a fairly decent win rate, maybe even higher than that. What's interesting is that as the win rate goes up, the number of trades goes down, and that seems to be the pattern. So that yes, you can find things that have a high win rate in theory. Number of trades goes down. The other problem I have with that is high win rate stuff. I have a feeling uh, that you're just lucky that it worked for those 2 years, and that you don't necessarily know um, if it's going to continue for another 6 months. Like it might just stop working, and that's a tough thing to show. So I'm sort of looking at that now. I'm trying to find um, shorter periods of time, very high win rate strategies that might work over 3 weeks, and then rolling it forward and forward and forward, and then charting out the probabilities and seeing if, like, does the market basically go through these moods where you could find something for a short period of time that worked really, really well, play it for a few weeks, and then throw it away. So I'm looking at ideas like that. There's a lot there. The other side of the strategy pool is where you have a low win rate and you let your trades run. And 99% of those types of strategies are going to be breakout strategies where you're waiting for something to break out, make a move that's abnormal, outside of the bands or whatever, and usually within a certain period of time during the day. And then you're letting that run either to either some trailing stop method or some sort of a lottery where you just assume a 10 to 1 return, whatever. Um, and that does seem to work as well. The problem, of course, with the lower win rate strategies is the drawdown, right? You get these periods of time where you make gobs of money because the market's working that way, and then you have periods of time where it is not working that way, and somehow you have to you have to focus on that. So I had this one, I have a couple of strategies like that where maybe it made one contract per trade 150,000 over 2 years, but the drawdown was like 36 grand. So when does that drawdown happen? Like if it doesn't happen in the very beginning, can you outlast it? Do you even know? Um, it's tough. It's tough. So I can see there's a lot of questions to answer here. I'm looking at a lot of different ideas. So yeah, essentially I'm in kind of a learning phase. Not really trading that much right now. I'm just trying to answer a lot of questions I have about how the market works, and what you can and can't get away with when you have a fixed strategy, and maybe what the uh, what would any strategy look like? What are the choices, right? I mean, you can see that there are two choices. There's, trying to be precise and right all the time versus not. So yeah, so there's some stuff there to figure out. I had no payouts last month. Blew a couple of evals, goofed around. I'm running an eval right now that I'm not really serious about. I'm kind of waiting to gel on how I'm going to trade going forward, and I'm still working on that. So um, this is a huge project. I have spent, I don't know, $500+ on AI tokens. $100 in AWS probably. As you can see here, I'm running some. I'm basically asking my system to test a particular strategy one of my other agents found. Um, Playing around with how probability on these strategies works. How whether it comes and goes quickly, does it fade in some sort of a curve? Does it just suddenly stop working? I'm kind of curious about those sorts of questions. Um, and as you can see, the one that I'm showing on the screen here, I can ask it questions and tell it to test them out in AWS, which is all set up. I've got a box that it turns on and off, that it submits jobs to, and it cranks. I think it's a 16 core box or something, and it just like uses all the cores up and cranks on it really hard. If I did that, I'd probably blow up my local machine. So um, yeah. So anyway, working on that. The other one is the other agent I have going here is essentially 20 out of 20. Oh, interesting. That's not bad. 3 trades. That sucks. Um, is doing a lot of uh, Darwinistic stuff where it creates a lot of strategies and mutates them and keeps trying and goes for a particular gate. And I'm just sort of looking for ideas and then looking to see how they change over time. So there's a lot of questions here. One of the things you have to be really careful of is that it's when you create something like this, you have to use a more expensive AI to make sure that it doesn't screw up and introduce all sorts of bugs into your process, and then make sure that it templates everything and puts a bunch of tests in place so that whenever the cheaper AI goes to test out an idea, that that the tests will screen out dumb mistakes, look ahead problems, things like that. So that's been an issue as well that I keep having to go back and audit and fix with the more expensive agents like Opus 5 or something. So yeah, a lot of work. Still not sure how I'm going to trade going forward, and I'm more interested in I'm kind of more interested in just understanding the market a little better right now because it's going to give me a feeling, I think, of how I should trade and overall like what really works in the long run and why. I feel like the high win rate stuff may be a red herring of sorts, or maybe a trap. Because I'm not sure that the market likes to allow stuff like that to last very long. Unless, like I said, it's got very few trades, in which case you don't necessarily know if even that is just sheer luck of you testing that data with that strategy. If it's only got 20 trades over 2 years or something, that may not continue. So I mean, it kind of feels to me like the strategies where you let the winners run may have more resilience over time. That they may not suffer as much because they're not they don't have a high win rate. They're not precise, and when the market changes, they don't necessarily um, change with it. The win rate just stays where it was. So I don't know. It's a tough thing. I'm sort of digging through what I can and can't get away with in the data. And then once I come up with something, I'll run it forward. I don't know if it's going to be soon or not. I may continue through this next month playing around with this stuff, but at some point I'm going to have to decide to actually trade again. So I got to pick something. So yeah, it's an interesting I don't want to say it's a side quest really, but I think it's important. I think that one of the problems with trading is that people approach it from the standpoint of um, thinking that somehow you can look at the charts, come up with some idea, and then it's just you can just hope that it works. And then you have all these fantasies about, oh, it's going to work. I'm going to make lots of money. Um, and and the fact is that if you're not backing that up with any kind of real data, then you're just really hopefully guessing. It's not that great. I've gone back and looked at a lot of the strategies that people think are great, and they're just not. A lot of the orb stuff, just not. It's it's possible that with some of the tweaks and the things people have done, maybe some they can get them to work. But I'm just sort of more interested at this point in kind of proving that something works or that it has a high probability of working instead of just pretending. And I think going this route, a lot of code, a lot of data, a lot of time. Right now, I think is probably the right way forward because my preference here would be to um, kind of reform my trading around strategies that have some data to back them up, and not just be kind of goofing around. Even though it's funny, because you can look at charts and you can say to yourself like, well, look at this pattern. Oh, I know, yeah, this is obvious. But then a lot of times when you try to actually codify that, or you try to actually uh, put that down on paper and say, well, okay, why would have traded here? How would I actually describe that as a strategy and test it out? You find that um, a lot of things work for a short period of time and then they don't. And they don't necessarily work over weeks or months or years, excuse me, in a way that is profitable. It doesn't just, send you through these big drawdowns. So I think it's important and I'm going to figure it out. Thanks, and I'll talk to you next time.